What's up with it, Raider Nation? It's your boy, Raider Honcho, and I'm back with a brand new video for you. About the draft. Damn! Everybody wants to know what I feel about the pick. Everybody wants to know what I think about the first round. It's in the DMs, it's in the mentions, it's in the comments, it's all over the place. Everybody's like, yo, Honcho, what you think? Honcho, did we get it right? Honcho, I don't like this. Let me just break it down for y'all, man. The Raiders have the ability. I don't know what it is. It's like a hidden talent. The Raiders have the ability to always select a guy that isn't really on the minds of anybody who's watching the damn draft. It just happens to be that way. Now, understand this. Don't look at the title and go tell other people, oh, Honcho said this or Honcho said that. If you don't watch the video, you're not going to hear me say this, so shut the hell up anyway, okay? Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a GM. I'm not going to sit and act like I'm a scout or I'm somebody who can judge college talent and tell you who's going to be a star and who's going to be a dud and who's just a scrub. I can't tell you those things. I'm a fan. So I can only give you my opinion as a fan. And it's just my opinion. You don't have to feel the same way I feel. I wouldn't try to tell you to change your mind or your perspective on things when it just comes to being a fan. Now, you're talking about as a coach, we can talk about technique, we can talk about fundamentals, we can talk about execution or performance. But when we're talking about the draft, I'm just a fan, right? And so I'm going to give you my feedback as a fan. Now, like I said before, the Raiders have the ability to always pick the guy that nobody's really thinking about when you're watching the draft and your team is up to pick, right? When you talk about the Cleveland Pharaohs, and I'm not comparing this pick to Cleveland Pharaoh. When you talk about the Alex Leatherwoods, it's always a situation where the Raiders find a way to pick the guy that's like, you know, you got a few guys in your mind, and then the pick is in, the pick is in, and then you see Goodell walking up, or you see some buster walking up, and they're about to tell us who it is, and as soon as they say the first letter of the name, you know it's not the guy you thought it was going to be. And I'm just getting sick and tired of that. I'm just tired of that part. Now, was this a bad pick? As everybody wants to say, was this a bad pick? I don't think it was a bad pick. I actually think it was a good pick. I think you get a top 10 guy, right? I think you get a top 10 talent. At 7, so it wasn't a reach by any means. Stop the comparisons to Cleveland Pharaoh. It wasn't a reach. It wasn't that same situation. I can understand where fans feel that way, because if you're just a fan and you're like, oh God, who the hell is this guy? I understand that part. But this guy is a much better player and has the potential to be a much better player in my opinion. But again, it wasn't a bad pick. I just don't know if it was the best selection available for the Raiders. I think that you had the ability or the opportunity to go get you a day one starter. I really wanted Jalen Carter here, or even if you went Christian Gonzalez, or you went in a different direction as far as a cornerback or a linebacker or any other position that we need starters at, right? We're looking for star players right now in the draft. You guys told me that free agency is where you get depth. You don't get big names. You don't throw a lot of money at people. This is what everybody was telling me, and they said, we'll just build stars through the draft. And I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. I'm not here to say that this guy is a sucker or he's not a good player at all. I'm just saying that I feel Jalen Carter for the Raiders was a day one starter. I feel like Gonzalez is a day one starter. And you pass on a day one starter to go get depth at a position we already have in Chandler Jones and Max Crosby. And yes, I know Chandler Jones gets a lot of flack, and no, I'm not saying he's the end-all be-all. He's getting up there in age, but he has a big contract, so you have to feel like he's still the starter at that position right now. And to me, it just feels like you could have got someone who was going to make a bigger impact day one. I'm not saying that who we picked isn't going to be have an impact day one. I just think that Jalen Carter was a surefire day one starter. Christian Gonzalez is a surefire day one starter. You could have maybe traded up a pick or two and go get Witherspoon, right? Like a day one starter, in my opinion, right? And it just feels like it's sad, because I know the Jalen Carter thing is like, well, because of his this and he did that, and it's personal and the character, and well, it just shows you how fragile the Raiders franchise is, the Raiders culture is that you can't even take a risk on somebody anymore because of what players have done in the past. And that's kind of sad, because you look at a team like Philadelphia who's contending for a title, and they can go pick Jalen Carter 3 picks after us, right? They can go and pick anybody they want, and it doesn't feel like they're taking a chance on a guy because of his history or his criminal history or all those things. It feels like they're allowed to pick a guy who could be risky and get away with it because they're not the silver and black. And that's the bigger issue I'm having with the Raiders. It's not just this draft pick in a vacuum or isolated, I should say. It just feels like in the history of the Raiders, our culture is so bad and our franchise is so shaky and our ownership is so shady and our coaches is so suspect and mediocre that it feels like we can't ever take a risk on a guy that may have some character issues, but the talent is so blinding. Like, to me, Jalen Carter is arguably the best defensive player in the draft, and when you talk about what the Raiders needed the most was obviously defense. So you don't get the best defensive player in the draft when he's sitting right there. You might not have got the second best defensive player in the draft. We know you didn't, and it's really based on the fact that the franchise is so shaky, you can't afford to have another Henry Ruggs situation, right? You can't afford to have one of these situations where a guy has character issues and this and that. And I just think that that's what's holding us back, is that we've been so bad for so long that we almost have to be perfect now. Like, we've been bad for so long, we have to make the perfect decision, the right decision. Has to sound good, has to look good. Now, I will say that on their board, they might have had Wilson really high, right? They might have had him high enough to where it's like, we didn't think he was going to be here. And if that's what their board says, I says, look, you got to trust their board. If they thought he was a top 4 talent and get him at 7, then go ahead and do that. But we can't keep trying to rationalize things that we don't like by coming up with opinions and reasons that we don't really have proof that that's the case, right? Like, we can't sit here and say, well, because he has this type of bend off the edge, and at the end of the day, we already have 2 starting defensive ends, right? That's at the end of the day. Like, you can say whatever you want to say. The facts are the facts. We have 2 starting defensive ends right now. So, in my opinion, where do we need help at? Linebacker, cornerback, safety, and defensive tackle. You need interior defensive support. And I feel like we have 0 interior defensive line help right now, or potential to be good in that area. And I'm not saying that you can't go do that in the second round. Obviously, you have a bunch of defensive backs you can get in the second round. Very deep defensive back class. I agree with that. You can go get you a linebacker here and there, right? You can do those things. You can go get a DT. But at the end of the day, the best defensive tackle in the draft was right there, and you didn't pick him. So I'm not saying this is a bad pick. I think it was a good pick. I just don't think it was the best pick. I don't think it was our best option. He wasn't the best player available. You might have been able to trade back 2 or 3 spots and still get the same guy, right? So I'm not here to bash the Raiders. I like the pick. They went defense. I'm not going to be a guy that complained about our defense was ass all year, and then we go get a defensive guy and I'm going to complain about it. I'm not here to complain about it. I would give this a B+. I would give this a B+, but picking Jalen Carter would have been an A. Picking Christian Gonzalez would have been an A, in my opinion. All right, I want you guys to get down in the comments and let me know what you think. I know it's been a minute. I ain't been dropping no videos. You got to understand, I am all over the place. I am coaching high school flag football. I am coaching regular football. I am coaching 2 AAU teams. I have a full-time job. Please bear with me. But when it's quality over quantity over here, okay? I'm giving you quality takes, okay? I might not give you a whole bunch of them, but when I give you a take, you know it's going to be substantial. It's going to have something to it. And I want you guys to get in the comments and let me know what you think about this. I want you to get in the comments right now and grade the pick. A to F. Give me the grade on this pick. And don't sit here and get in the comments and try to change my mind. I've already said this was a good pick, okay? I said it was a good pick, B+. B+ pick. I just think that what the Raiders really, really need is a star at a certain position, starters at certain positions, and I agree that he can be a starter going forward or down the road, but right now we have 2 starting defensive ends. So I'm not mad at the pick. I just thought we could have did a little bit more at the 7th pick, maybe even traded back a few spots, and if we still took him at 11, 12, I'd have been fine with that. Yes, I know people are going to jump in the comments and say, well, he wouldn't have been there at 11 and 12. Look, we don't know what the hell was going on, because you would have told me Levis wasn't going to be a first-round pick. You would have been like, oh, no, he's definitely going in the top 4. So we don't really know. All I'm saying is my reaction to what the Raiders did was, okay, good pick. Not the best pick. Good pick, though. Good pick. So, yeah, get down in the comments. Let me know. Put a grade on it. Let me know what you think. If you like the video, like the video. If you like the content on the channel, subscribe to the channel. Hit me up on Instagram and Twitter, both at Raider Honcho. Check out RaiderHoncho.com. Check out RedemptionBrand.com. And until next time, as always, Raider Honcho out.